I'm Bruce Fummey, and I've been making a series of short videos asking who made the Scottish people. But I've been doing it in rainy old Scotland. Aujourd'hui, nous sommes en France, et il pleut, as we take an all too brief look at possibly the most influential group of all, the Normans. So if you're interested in the people, places and events in Scottish history, then click the subscribe button at the bottom right of the screen. In the meantime, let me tell you a story. Today's Scotland history tour starts in Rouen in France, but by the time we are finished, it's going to take me much closer to home. If you follow the River Seine as it meanders its way through this region, it leads you all the way upstream to Paris. Now, in the 9th century, it brought Vikings who raided and settled, just like they'd been doing in Scotland and England and Ireland for that matter. Large numbers of them settled around Rouen. They left their Scandinavian lands as landless younger sons or political dissidents looking for a home for themselves, first with sword and then with ploughshare. They had no intention of stopping here, but the French, we should really call them Franks back then, were starting to hold these Vikings back. First with successes at the Siege of Paris, then more significantly for us, a siege 75 miles to the south of here in Chartres. These Vikings were held back by Charles the Simple, King of West Francia. Now, there may be people who complain in the comment section about background noise. Sadly, Google Street View doesn't warn about French construction work. But there's a reason that we came to this abbey in Rouen to talk about this particular Viking. And there'll be folks who complain of the use of Viking as a noun rather than a verb. And I know they think they're being pedantic, but they're actually being a wee bit daft. I've got a page for my Patreon members where I add extra videos, and if you click the link up there, I'll upload a short video for those Patreon members to explain why. In the meantime, let's deal with this Viking. Back in 858 AD, Norsemen had raided and burned Chartres. Now the town's defences were rebuilt so that it had become a fortified city. In 1911, this Viking called Rollo led another siege of the city. Now, according to legend, the local bishop exposed the Virgin's tunic on the ramparts. Oh, Mrs. Robinson! He then led a mob of peasants in a charge that saw off the Norsemen. Our West Frankish King Charles the Simple followed up with a cavalry charge. Now the Norsemen had no time to board on army ships, so Rollo and his men created a defensive wall by slaughtering the livestock from those ships, and the Frankish horses were frightened by the sight and smell of the dead livestock and wouldn't go forward. Now, whether you believe that or not, the Franks called off the attack and negotiated terms with Rollo. A bunch of Norsemen had already settled in this area around the Seine and River Epte. What if Charles the Simple gives Rollo the lands between the River Epte and the sea for him and his Norsemen? Now, Rollo would have to act as a buffer to protect the Franks against more naughty Norsemen coming from the west. But Rollo took the deal, made Rouen here his capital, was baptised and given the Christian name Robert. Now, the treaty being signed at Saint-Clair-sur-Epte, he also adopted the surname Saint-Clair, which modern day Scots might recognise as Sinclair. This, of course, is a statue of Rollo, which is why I'm here. Or should I say, Bobby Sinclair. Well done, Bobby. This is Place de Gaulle. It's in Bayeux. Now, you've probably heard of Bayeux because of the tapestry in the museum round the corner, and we'll get to that. But first, I wanted to introduce you to this fine lass. Her name's Poppa. When Rollo raided Bayeux, he took her and made her his wife. Now, the details, the level of coercion, existence of another Christian wife and all that kind of thing are a wee bit dubious and sketchy, but it was Papa who gave birth to Rollo's successor, William Longsword, Count of Rouen. Now, it wasn't just this union that brought local Frankish and Norse together. The existing Frankish and the Norse incomers together formed a new people, the Normans. The road wasn't smooth. Rebellion by Norse settlers who thought William was becoming far too Frankish. Later, William's son Richard was abducted by the Frankish king who distrusted the Norse. But it was that Richard who introduced feudalism amongst the Norsemen and built a castle on exactly this spot. In each passing generation, the people here became less like Norse and Frankish peoples thrown together and more like Normans. They were hugely successful in the coming centuries. Like their Norse forebears, the need for land, conquest and adventure sent them out across Europe, extending into the Iberian Peninsula as the Moors were pushed back, establishing a kingdom in Sicily, influencing the Crusades and the creation of the Kingdom of Jerusalem. They tell me that one way or another, every surviving European monarch today is descended from Rollo. Of course, Normandy itself grew with conquest and consolidation. And 5 generations after Rollo, the capital of Normandy was moved here to Caen. And this castle would become the headquarters and home of the Duke of Normandy. This change was made by the guy who would make the biggest impact of all the Normans, William of Normandy, who in 1066 would become known as William the Conqueror. From here, he plotted the biggest expansion of Norman power yet. There's a convoluted tale about why William felt he was justified by his God-given right to become King of England. And back in Bayeux, that justification, along with his invasions, described in intricate detail in the famous tapestry. Now, the story's well enough known that I don't need to go into the details here. After all, this isn't England history tours. So let me take you somewhere much more part of Scotland's story. Breeks. This is a small town of Breeks, and whilst you might not realise it, you've heard about it before in the name of one of the local knights who crossed La Manche in the wave of 11th century Norman immigrants who turned Saxon England into Norman England. He was another Robert, hence the name Robert de Breeks. Now, if you're Scottish, or even if you've spent any time at all on my channel, then you know of this Robert's great-great-great-great-grandson, Robert the Bruce. And this is where the ancestors of our warrior king came from. This is the current Bruce Castle in Normandy. Now, looking back now, we know what became of the descendants of the Norman knight who hailed from here. But when he set off from Normandy, he could never have known that his line would produce the most famous king of Scots. Henry I of England was the son of William the Conqueror. He'd married the daughter of Malcolm Canmore of Scotland, and his right-hand man was that wife's brother, David. Henry gave David lands here in Normandy, and one of his tenants was a Norman from here in Breeks. His name was Robert. Henry would give Robert de Breeks lands in England, where the Bruces would become great magnates. But David would make that family more famous still. You see, David would go on to be David I of Scotland. From his time as a loyal friend to Henry I of England, Carlisle Castle was David's capital and power base. In his old age, it was eventually here that he died. But before he did, he would bring a revolution to Scotland. That Davidian revolution brought changes to town and commerce structures, religious organisation and trade. It brought feudalism, chivalry and Normans. Carlisle was his English heartland, but David needed to secure and exert influence over Scotland. For that, David brought Norman knights. Most famously on the west coast would be the Stuarts and the Bruces. And they, along with many other Norman knights, helped him subdue the kingdom that he built up, but in which he'd never grown up. These Norman knights often held lands both north and south of the Scotland-England border. But for David, initially, the real border was the Forth, or at furthest, the Tay. He seldom travelled north of these, particularly in his early reign. He had yet to impose Norman ways in those Gallic realms. But David wasn't the first to bring Normans to Scotland. When David's dad, Malcolm Canmore, had come north with his Saxon army to seize the throne from Macbeth years before, there were Normans fighting on the side of that man so maligned by Shakespeare. And yet it was with Normans that Malcolm's son, David, imposed the Canmore line. Most of the Canmore monarchs are buried here at Dunfermline Abbey. When Alexander III, the last of the Canmore line, died without heirs, the community of the realm of Scotland were faced with a choice. There emerged two men to choose from to lead the country, two candidates for King of Scots. Now both had Celtic, Gaelic-speaking mothers, but both had Anglo-Norman fathers. Who would choose between them but an Anglo-Norman Plantagenet king? They called him Longshanks. I don't need to recount what followed. We all know that the grandson of one of those two candidates moulded Scotland into a nation, and in the 1320 Declaration of Arbroath set out that nation's history and right to be. Robert the Bruce, who lies buried here in Dunfermline Abbey, was at least partly born of a family that migrated from Breeks in Normandy. Scotland was at least in part Norman. If you want to know more about the peoples who made Scotland, then there's a video coming up on screen now. In the meantime, I'm your Dochus going to be a llama alive. Cheery and Rasta.